Hello everyone. My name is Anuj Agrawal, and as you all aware that recently the GST Council has the recommended or make it effective the TDS and TCS provisions. So friends, I am getting a lot of queries relating to the TDS and TCS. So I'm just assuming that whoever is listening this video, this short video, so it's not something I'm not covering here the normal things and whatever the provisions are, which are very apparent and very much understandable about the concept per se. So I'm just trying to give you some of the areas where we have not seen a clarity, and as the provisions progresses in the future, there might be some litigations or there more clarification required for the user of these provisions. So friends, first we will take it up the section 52, which is related to e-commerce operators. So as you all aware that 1% things tend to be deducted by the electronic commerce, and other things which you can read it on the section 52 of the CGST Act. So, friends, first thing which I want to highlight here, here the standard or the act says that the consideration with respect to such supplies is to be collected by the operator. So, friends, make a note, or it's my understanding. So, just keep in that mind. This is something which is my own opinion and the understanding. So, I'm just deliberating or giving the thoughts on that. These will be the future litigation, or might be the issues which need some more clarity. So here the friends, it says that the consideration with respect to such supplies is to be collected by the operator. So here it's emphasizing on that it is to be collected by the operator. So, friends, assume that when the e-commerce operator itself is not collecting that particular payment, so it means that it will not be applicable those provisions. So, for example, if you are, in you will make such a arrangement there where the payments, directly comes to the whoever is supplying, so might be these provision will not be applicable. So there can be a situation where the arrangement or agreement would be made in that format, like where the payment directly will not come to the e-commerce operator. So in those things, the this provision should not be applied, as the laws reading says. Another one, it says that e-commerce operator, applicability of section 52, who is not being an agent. So, for example, if you are doing this e-commerce activity through your agent, so here the agent is already defined in the act, and it says that it covers a lot of phrases which normally we use. And it says that whoever does the business on behalf of the others. So, friends, here the controversy could be like whoever electronic commerce operator, whoever is not doing the business on his own, or any agent is doing that the activity. So where whether these provisions will be applied or not, because it says that e-commerce operator not being an agent. Because nowadays, the lot of payment application platforms which has a tri-party agreement, where the another person could be as will act as an intermediary between the operator per se or the supplier, and it will it will settle the payment to the supplier after deducting some of the charges for the electronic commerce operator per se. So there could be a more clarity, unless otherwise it will be will have the lot of issues related to in cases where we have the agent involved in these activities, or the other service provider, like we have the several payment applications or other agents in between, when we talk about the different business verticals. So friends, as you know that there is no threshold limit for this deduction for this 1%. One another important thing to be noted in this segment, like for the council is already given the relief to the person who are providing the services. you know, and they have the 20 lakhs aggregate turnover in a one financial year. So if you are in the service provider, you are providing a service, uh, even if it's an interstate, then there is no need for go under registration, and accordingly your GST provisions will not apply. But in that notification also, they have exempted or they have accepted that if at all it is related to e-commerce, so these provision will not be applied. So meaning that if you are a person who is providing a services through the e-commerce operator, then these provisions will be applied. So taking care, take a note on that. So coming on to the next section 51, which is related to TDS. So friends, this TDS, you all, as you are aware, for 2.5 lakhs, it's a threshold which is given on that, and then the rate for which is to be used for deduction of this. So basically, friends, in this provision, the government entities are involved. So as we have also aware that the council and this they have already clarified that these are the entities which will be liable for deduction the tax at source, which is a similar provision in the income tax also. But basically the entities which are there in it's a government entities. So what was happening earlier, like the government was awarding a lot of contracts or the services to the local contractors, and they were not filing the, or they were not complying the GST related things. So in order to club that, or in order to curb those evasions and all that, these provisions were brought into, so that the government itself or government entity itself will deduct that amount and deposit in the department, so that whenever these deduction will be there. So the department will have a the track for that, and then they can ask for the clarification, or they can ask for the details for the transaction. So this is something which everybody knows about it, so I'm not going on that. So here the controversies could be like here the what the council or the notification has come related to what are the entities involved in this TDS related thing. So here they use the word an entity, an authority or a board established by any government with 51% or more participation by way of equity or control. So as long as participation by 51% of equity, everybody can understand it. It's very easy to trace it with the financials, and it says that or control. So control, again, it's something which is very wider in nature, and control is something which we have understanding in the accounting standard requirement, which has brought into for Ind AS 110, and that control has a wider definition. So that has not been clarified properly, and they said that this 51% control by way of equity or control to act any function. Like for example, it's not emphasizing on that particularly, it should be the business activity. For example, if I am having some percentage or control on the administrative activity, so whether it will be construed as a the definition of the government entity, or whatever they are trying to fetch into that. So this is something which needs some more clarity, because there are provisions which needs the which has the penalties in case you are liable to deduct the TDS and you have not deducted. So these provisions to be clarified in more detail. uh, Another one in this, like a lot of people are sending their query, like the exceptions were given in the TDS, that where the location of the supply and the supplier, it's the same. So don't be confused on that, just keep it in the mind. Like for example, I am the recipient who is to be deduct that the particular TDS, which everybody is clear. So now if you are deducting any tax and depositing to the government, so now we have the CGST, SGST and IGST. So for example, I am in a situation where I need to deduct some tax, be it CGST, SGST or IGST. So just one question you should ask every time, so you will have a clarity on that with this exception, that whether I can deposit that deducted amount to the government. So in case of CGST, you can do that. IGST, you can do that. But if at all, if it is a SGST, whether you can deposit or not, you cannot. Like for example, I am sitting in the Ahmedabad, and I am the recipient of these services. My registration is in Ahmedabad, and I am getting some services which is located at the same place where the supplier is located. Like for example, it is in the Maharashtra. So he will be generating the CGST and IGST. So like for example, if I deduct some amount, so it will be having the SGST amount also. So being a registered person in Gujarat, I'll not be able to deposit that amount in SGST for the Maharashtra. So the that is what the exception is there. So you just have to ask yourself whether you can deposit that deducted amount to the government or not. For that you need a registration. If you need a registration, that you cannot. So that is what the exception all about. So don't be confused. It's a very simple, and it's a very logical exception. So whenever you don't have any registration to deposit that particular amount which you have deducted, so there is no point for deducting that amount in that particular case. So friends, just wanted to have the heads up for that. And another query was like, I got it from the unregistered supplier. Like for example, if the government or they are dealing it with the unregistered supplier also. So if at all section 9 subsection 4 is applicable, then yes, the government or the entity is liable to deduct that TDS. They will deduct that, and they will just keep it, like for example in the income tax also, TDS. So if at all that person wants to claim that, he has to get it registered in the GST and then get the claim done. So there is nothing which is escape for whoever is not registered in the GST. So ultimately, you can say that whoever wants to deal with the government department, they have to get their registration done, even if their threshold limit is below 20 lakhs. This is what the interpretation all about. So friends, thanks for listening in, and this is just wanted to to have the deliberation on that, and it's all my personal opinion. So if you have anything contrary to this views and all, so you'll feel free to send your comments below this video. Thank you so much.